Everything I'm going to discuss today is under the assumption that your standard stock suspension is in perfect condition or good condition, meaning ball joints have been replaced, there's no other issues, your struts have been replaced, all those things. So take care of maintenance items first before you start getting into suspension modifications. Before I jump into the rear sway bar upgrade, I want to talk about, I replaced the struts with Excel Gs, which are by KYB, and they are intended for stock suspension height or a mild drop, probably up to 1.5 inches. This suspension is stock height. Also, in one of my previous episodes, I talked about this H&R 25mm spacer, which pushes out your wheel. So if you want more information on that, go to the wheel and tire episode. So let's get started on the sway bar. Okay, first of all, what does a stiffer rear sway bar even do? Reduce the body roll significantly. Also, it will increase the propensity for the vehicle to oversteer. Okay, so the sway bar runs up in the rear above the exhaust tubing here, and it runs right, I guess you could say, behind the rear subframe, and it attaches to the stock end links. So these are the end links here, and there's one nut, and the installation is pretty simple. But what you do not want to do, you do not want to jack your car up like I did, like this, to install it. You actually want to put the rear tires on ramps so it's up in the air, and I have some ramps right up there. So you want to use those, so safely jack your vehicle and let the suspension load back down on the ramps. And what that'll do is that'll put it at the correct orientation so you can install it properly. But anyway, this is a Meghan Racing rear sway bar. These are pretty affordable. They look cool, I guess, if you like blue. And I've been very happy with this. It has a couple settings, very stiff and a slightly stiff. It's gonna be hard for you to see that, but basically if you look right there, you'll see. So that's it, it's pretty simple. There's probably a total of 10 nuts or bolts that you need to take out and reinstall. There's 2 here on this cover that goes on your control arm, and then there's the nut that's up here that you're gonna need to take off, and you're gonna need to find something that'll hold this while you spin this, because otherwise this thing rotates and you'll never get it off. Then there's these 2 bolts right here, and that's it. The whole thing will drop out. Your old one, you'll have to kind of finagle it out of there, and then you put the new one up, and you want to set these without tightening them all the way. Get the end links lined up to the setting that you want, and finish the install and put these covers back on. Pretty simple. I'd say the job, if you set up your initial jack of the car correctly, would take you about 1.5 hours, 2 hours from start to finish. But again, worthy mod, really tightens up the rear end and brings the body roll down to an acceptable level on the rear of the car. So let's recap some of the benefits of a upgraded rear sway bar. First and foremost, you're going to reduce your body roll as you take corners, especially from the rear of the vehicle. Second, it's going to reduce squat as you launch. It's going to reduce the back end from coming up in the air as you brake hard. And it's going to transfer energy much better. So you're going to feel more connected to the road. It is going to increase oversteer on a rear-wheel drive vehicle. So if you like to drift, then a upgraded rear sway bar is a good thing. But all in all, it's a great addition to this vehicle, because from the factory, these older Lexus GS300s and 400s tended to have quite a bit of body roll, because they were designed a little bit more on the comfort side and not so much on the sporty side. It also will stiffen up the suspension a bit in the rear, so you're going to feel it going down the road, and it's going to be a little bit more bouncy, I'd say. But generally, you're not going to feel any difference unless you're at an extreme angle, or I guess pressure or tension, however you want to say it, on the rear sway bar itself. So that's where it really shines. So around corners like this, way better than stock. connected to the road right in here. So in summary, I'm going to say that a rear sway bar upgrade is probably one of the first suspension modifications that I would do on this vehicle. That's assuming that all your other maintenance items are taken care of, your struts, your ball joints, whatever, everything else is good, alignment, all that stuff. You don't need an alignment after you do a sway bar. For the most part, the suspension feels exactly like it does stock. Where the sway bar starts to kick in is when you start to get a little more extreme with either cornering or even bumps in the road. So yes, you can feel it, but it has to be more of an extreme suspension flex. It made it handle awesome. So, and if you like to drift, you have to get one of these because your car will rotate around much faster.